So now we're going to take a look at why it is that the sounding of the shofar, the ram's horn, is so central to the celebration of Rosh Hashanah. The blessing that we say before we sound the shofar is Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. We express gratitude to God for making us mindful through the mitzvah of hearing the sound of the shofar. That's what we're actually commanded to do, to hear. Why is that? There's a story told of a poor country farmer who goes to visit his rich cousin in the city, and at the meals that he shares with his cousin, he's so impressed. When they're seated at the table, his cousin rings a bell, and the room is filled with servants, pouring water and serving food. And each time a course is finished, his cousin rings the bell, and the room is again swarming with servants who clear the dishes and fulfill the wishes of every guest at the table. Well, upon his return home, the farmer's wife inquires about the visit. And the farmer responds, "I had the most wonderful time, but I have to tell you, I spent our entire life savings." "Our life savings," his wife says. "What did you spend it on?" Well, the farmer says, "Come see." And he sits his wife down at their dinner table. He sits opposite her and with great ceremony pulls out a beautiful silver bell. He places it on the table. "Ready?" he says to his wife. He picks up the bell and rings it. Imagine his surprise when nothing happens. In order for the shofar to do any good, much like the silver dinner bell, something has to be heard in order for it to be effective. What does it really mean to hear? You may have noticed in the blessing the commandment lishmoa, to hear the sound of the shofar, is the same Hebrew root as a prayer that we say all the time, Shema Yisrael. It's the prayer that we say that reminds us that God is one, and that is also a commandment that we need to shema, that we need to hear. What does it mean to shema? Another great story tells us that to shema, to hear, can not only be the kind of hearing that we do with our ears. It's made up of 3 letters. The shin has the sound shh. It says that truly, in order to hear, we need to quiet outside distractions and focus inward. Once we do that, we can take on the next letter of Shema, the mem. That's when we really focus our ideas and reflect on and think about what is coming to mind when we hear. And if we're really lucky, we get to the 3rd letter of Shema, the ayin, that has that sound, ah. If we can quiet outside distractions and focus our thoughts, then if we're very lucky, we walk away with, some new revelation about something that we've never had before. So for Rosh Hashanah and hearing the shofar, we prepare ourselves for change, to focus on the ways that we can continue to grow and be better in the coming year, and hopefully we somehow walk away different, more ready, more awake. So we're going to do a little Talmud study together today. If you look on your study guide, you'll see another text. It says, if one shofar is put inside another shofar, if you can hear the sound of the inner one, then you perform your religious duty of hearing the shofar. But if you only hear the sound of the outer one, you do not perform your religious duty, lishmoa kol shofar, to hear the voice of the shofar. So we're going to ask ourselves now, why would the Talmud even begin a discussion of placing one shofar inside another? Is there a more metaphorical way of looking at this discussion? Let's take a little break and give it some thought.